Alright folks, this little video here is about a 4-spring clutch going on to a DB32 Goldstar. I have 3 or 4 of the 6-spring clutches, but obviously just knowing what they're like and how to set them up and everything else can be an absolute nightmare. So I've got a 4-spring unit on there from an old Triumph. Sorry, I'm not on there yet, but it is going to go on there. And I just wanted to tell you a little bit about the issues I've been having whilst trying to put it on, and the fun and games of trying to make it work. The first issue is I've got an RRT gearbox on here, and unbeknown to me, the main shaft is a wide shaft. Now I'm not a mad mechanic. I'm just some guy that loves to mess around with these old things and just has a bit of a fascination with them. I've got an RRT2 box. I've also got a standard box, and I just assumed all the main shafts were the same width or diameter, whatever you want to call it. Lo and behold, to me, when I tried to put the Triumph 4-spring clutch on, which is just down there, I found out that I have a large main shaft and with a large taper. So the clutch hub adapter, when I put the clutch in, the clutch wasn't pulling up onto the shaft, which meant it was sticking out. So when I put the outer casing on, the clutch hit the outer casing. So subsequently what I've had to do was did the old surfing on the internet, and I came up with one of these. This is a wide clutch hub adapter. I'll put the model numbers and everything else, write it down in a second, but this is the wide clutch hub adapter I had to buy from the UK, which was great. So I thought, right, perfect, got the wide adapter, let's put it on the main shaft, fit it beautifully, and then let's put all the clutch together as all the little bits and bobs here. Magic, it worked, it fitted. Yeah, it did. And I was so surprised when I grabbed the actual clutch outer basket when it was on the bike, and it wobbled around like this. It would have had at least 6 to 8 mil in play. That ain't no good, because obviously when it's on the bike and bike's running, it's going to be rattling around like crazy, and it's just not good. So I figured, alright, so what the hell's going on here? Took it all apart, put it on the bench. Alright, let's have a look and see what's going on. And what was going on was that when this was put together, and then the actual center part of the clutch went down onto the actual clutch hub adapter, it's a bit tight, there was a lot of play in here. Alright, and essentially the outer chain wheel was wobbling around, which meant it wasn't, the actual center hub wasn't sitting on the actual chain wheel, and it wasn't sitting tight. So there was shitloads of play in it. What I found out, obviously I took it all apart and had to play with it, that the bearings obviously sit into there. The bearings I use are 1/4 inch in depth, 1/4 inch deep, and they're about 5.8, 5.9 mil in width. So there's 20 of those that sit inside it. This guy here was obviously fitting onto the main shaft, and when I put the actual center part of the clutch in, the center part of the clutch was sitting on, it's not very good here, I can't do it, was sitting on that lip. Alright, so what that meant was it was sitting higher above the bearings, and it wasn't sitting flat, so it was basically giving this clearance to do that. Alright, a wobble around it, and it was honestly, it was like this. It was an absolute bag of shit. So subsequently what I've done, I have machined a fraction off of, let's get the pencil, use the pencil. I've machined a fraction off of here, sorry, camera work. Alright, which meant the clutch hub, when it sat on here, actually sat further down, which meant there was more of this tooth gear sticking out the center of the component of the clutch, which meant, right, so I've machined that bit down. I machined a face of this off, cleaned it all up. That was absolutely bogging as well, so that didn't help. And then I machined the face of this off. Because I machined a 15th off of that, that meant the actual hub adapter sat further down, which meant it sat on the inside of here, or on the inside of this bearing face. That was fine, that solved that problem. Next problem was that the actual center part of the clutch didn't sit nicely inside the frame, so what I did was I machined the lugs off. So now there's no lugs on the outside of that. You can see just all the lugs are gone. I didn't worry about the inside bits because that's just where the clutch plates sit. So putting it together, that now sat nicely inside of here with the bearings not getting in the way, and the bearings were rolling around nicely. It doesn't, I don't need it in there anyway. And then the actual center hub, when that sat on the inside, because I machined the outside, it's a bit tight, there's a little bit of a burr on that. Get in there, you bugger. Now that sits really nice and flat, and it's below the teeth of the actual center part of the clutch. You can see now. So when I put the washer in and then the bolt, it pulls down onto the center part of the clutch, where before it was sitting on the adapter, which meant this was wobbling around like an absolute twat, and the actual chain wheel case was wobbling around like an absolute twat. That's great. Perfect. Solved it. Right. Put it all together. What the hell? The actual, when all the plates were in here and then the clutch face plate went on, and I put it onto the main shaft, put the outer the outer case on, it was just rubbing. What's going on there now? What I found out was this compression plate, when it was sitting inside the chain wheel, there's a lip inside the chain wheel there for where the teeth go on the compression plates. So the actual compression plate was sitting, let's take this out, was actually sitting on that lip there. It wasn't sitting flat on the back plate. You can see that lip. So what I did, I bent up the teeth, alright, on the actual pressure plate. So now when I put it together, the actual pressure plate sits on the inside of that rim, alright, not on that little lip that's there. So it now sits flush against here. So when I put the outer chain case on, or sorry, put all the pressure plates in, put everything together, it's on the actual main shaft. Now there is no wobble at all. It is nice and snug. There is when it's loosely fit, but when you put the outer faceplate on, the springs pull onto obviously the center hub, which in turn forces the pressure plates together, which holds it nice and snug. And also when it's on, let's do this before, right, look at this, I'm trying to hold the camera and move around at the same time, it's not really working. But when I put the actual clutch hub adapter on the bike, trying to put things on it just doesn't work. Right, it actually now sits in as it should do because it's the wide adapter. You put the rear case plate on, and then you put a straight edge up to it, you get a nice straight edge. Perfect. Where before, when I had the other adapter on, I had it like here, so the actual case came out and it was way off, way off. So now fits perfect. Once that's all rolled up, it's flat as a pancake. So it takes a bit of messing around. It's not an easy thing to do to just put a 4-spring clutch on, especially when you have a large main drive and you have to do lots of machining and taking these parts off. You have to, I had to machine, as I said, down this is a hardened steel clutch hub adapter, so that was a bit of a bitch to get. I took probably about 2.5 mil off of that, off the face, and then obviously machined these lugs out and the back of that plate too, that inner cush drive, so it actually sits nice and flat. Now I've got a good clutch without any play. There's probably 1.5 mil or something like that play on the clutch once it's all together, but that is much better than what I had before, which was at least 10 mil of play. This was wobbling around like a crazy kid, like literally, no exaggeration, it was wobbling around like that because it didn't fit. Hopefully this helps someone. Take it easy.